back to another DbD. Now, today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing another DbD discussion video, and because the new chapter for the new killer came out just yesterday, I figured I'd make this video real quick while it is relevant. Basically, I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts on the Ringu chapter, what I think about the killer, what maybe needs to be changed. I'll also be talking about the perks as well. Keep in mind that this is not going to be like an overview of the chapter. I'm not going to be going through the power. I'm not going to be saying exactly what the script tells, everything like that. I've already watched videos, I've already watched gameplays, I've already seen all of that, so me going over it just feels like, you know, me kind of faking the surprise of everything and stuff like that. I already know everything. This is not like a reaction to the new chapter that came out or whatever. I've already watched a ton of stuff on it, and I'm sure those of you who are interested in this video have likely already seen a video with showcasing the new perks, the new killer, all that, the gameplay, all that. Unfortunately, if I could, I would do the gameplay, but because crossplay is not a thing between console and PC yet for Dead by Daylight, I cannot play the PTB yet, or at least I could spend the money, but I would not have all the progress I would have on my console account. So I'm not going to be showing any gameplay. I'm just going to pretty much be telling you my thoughts based on what I have seen so far. Have not done, I have not obviously played myself, but this is just going to be based on what I heard, what I've seen, and stuff like that. So I guess let me just get out of the way the easy stuff first of all. Things like the perks, the animations, all that kind of stuff, before we talk about the power. So, as far as the visuals go, the new survivor, the new killer, they look good, obviously. The new killer's animations, they've been doing a really good job on making the new killer animations unique to that killer, and they did an amazing job for Ringu. Reminds me of kind of like what they did with Pinhead. Very unique animations, and I really do like that. So, as far as the animations, the visuals, the aesthetic, the Mori, even the Mori, there's actually two different Moris, all of that, they nailed it, so yeah, no problems there. Now let's get on to talking about the perks part. For the most part, the perks are just kind of average. There's not really any perk that calls out to me and is like, wow, that perk is really good. There's a new Scourge Hook perk. Let's start on the killer end. There's a new Scourge Hook perk, which is the Floods of Rage. I'm actually going to go down so I can see which each of these perks do. So it says, basically, the Floods of Rage, you know how Scourge Hooks work. You get a bunch of Scourge Hook spawns, and if you hook a survivor on that Scourge Hook, then an effect will apply. And basically, when the person is unhooked from the Scourge Hook, you see the aura of all other survivors for a certain amount of time. I feel like there's other ways to get information that can do similar things, but, you know, maybe in some quirky build, this could work somehow and could be decent information, but other than that, I don't think it's the best Scourge Hook perk. I still think Pain Resonance is definitely a lot better and probably will be the best Scourge Hook perk for a while. So nothing too special about that. And then there's Call of Brine, which gets a little bit better. When you kick a generator, Call of Brine activates for 60 seconds. The generator regresses at 200% of the normal regression speed at tier 3. And its aura is revealed to you. Each time a survivor completes a good skill check on a generator affected by Call of Brine, you receive a loud noise notification. This perk, I think it can combine well with other perks on its own. I think it could still be a decent perk, but I think you'll see a lot of people using this perk in builds with like Pop Goes the Weasel, maybe Oppression and stuff like that. So this is kind of like, it's kind of like the alternative to Ruin. You know, it's not a Hex perk, so you'll never lose it. And it gives you more of an incentive to kick generators at any time, really. I don't think there's a cooldown. I'm sure the cooldown is just the 60 seconds, and then once the 60 seconds is up, you can use it again. So basically, after the effect has gone off that generator, you can use it again. So I think this is a pretty decent perk. I think it will see itself in builds. And yeah, nothing much more to say. I just don't think it's going to be like a huge meta perk or anything like that. And then the last one is Merciless Storm, which I think is the most interesting and unique out of the three. Basically, when a generator reaches 90% progress, the survivors will get continuous skill checks, and if they miss a skill check or they leave the generator, then that generator will be blocked for a certain amount of time. This perk, I like it because it's kind of like Tinker in a sense where good survivors can learn to play around it in some way, and that can add a little bit of interesting aspect to the gameplay. But even if good survivors, try to avoid it, that's still going to be that's still going to be something that is going to be kind of hard to do, because if they choose to leave the generator, then the generator will be blocked. So maybe they'll like go to a certain percent, make sure you're not close or something like that, and then or they just burn through the skill checks. The only thing that concerns me about this perk are the skill checks like the yellow glyph skill checks, where it's just like boom, 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 or is it just regular skill checks where it's like boom, boom, boom? My guess is it's going to be kind of like how the yellow glyph skill checks are, where there's like 3 skill checks in one circle or something like that. I think it's about 2. So if that's the case, I think this can be a fairly good perk, even against good survivors, because those skill checks are not hard to pull off. So yeah, pretty good perks for the most part. And then as far as the survivor perks go, let me see if I can find where the survivors. I know the survivor's name is on here somewhere, and I can get to it. It's probably at the bottom. Yep, okay, right here. And then new survivor. Okay, and then let's take a look at the new survivor perks. I'll just go through them real quick. The survivor perks, I can already tell you, are not as good as the killer perks. Parental guidance, it basically removes your scratch marks, pools of blood, and grunts of pain after you stun a killer. It's like a combination of Dance with Me, Shadow Step, Iron Will, Lucky Break. It's like a combination of the perks. I don't really like it. You'll probably see this in a few builds here and there, but it's not going to be anything amazing. I think this perk definitely will need changes coming up in the future. I'm just not really sure what would need to be changed. I know that what this perk will do is it's going to make other perks, like Dance With Me, for example, or Lucky Break, it's going to make them kind of fall down on the scale a little bit, because this is like a combination of all those perks, and maybe this perk will turn out to be a little bit better than those other perks. So I don't know. I don't really like this perk idea. I think there should be something else that maybe suits the name a little bit more, and is not centered around hiding your scratch marks and all that, because that has just been really overdone, if you ask me. And the only way you're going to make a good perk out of that is if you nerf Shadow Step a little bit somehow, and then buff this perk a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, all I can say is that this perk will definitely need to be changed in the future. Then there's Empathetic Connection, which is basically the reverse of empathy. The survivors who are injured see your aura, and you can heal them 10% faster. The 10% is not very much, but I imagine, just like with Parental Guidance, you'll see this be put in builds here and there, but it's not going to be anything extraordinary. People are still going to be using Boon Circle of Healing. And speaking of boons, there's a new boon, Boon Dark Theory, which it's just like exponential, not very good. It gives you a boost of speed when you're in the boon's range, and then the effect will linger for a few seconds after you leave the radius. I can already tell you how I would tweak this perk. I would boost the haste, and I would boost the amount of time it lingers, because it only lingers for 4 seconds, and I believe Shadow Step lingers for about 10 seconds after you leave the boon. So, I mean, why should a Boon Dark Theory, a perk that's, I can already tell you, is worse than Shadow Step, have to have a 4-second cooldown? The haste effect is not going to be anything out of the ordinary. I think it will create some unique gameplay, especially against 110% movement speed killers, but even with regular killers, it can make you a little bit better in chase. I just wish the haste effect was boosted a little bit, maybe to 7% or a 5%, because 2%, it's not really going to do much against 110% movement speed killer or an 115% movement speed killer. It's pretty much going to feel the exact same. So yeah, as far as the perks go for the killer and the survivor, they're all right. There's a few honorable mentions, I guess you want to say. That being probably Merciless Storm. I think that was a interesting idea that I enjoyed, but perks just kind of mediocre. Definitely could use some very simple changes that can make them a lot better. Now, the part you've been waiting for, the power aspect to Ringu. So, in case you have not read anything about the power, I'll give you a quick explanation. Basically, your power is She's able to teleport to TVs, like project to TVs, much like how Freddy could do. And that's one aspect of her power. So she has a little bit of mobility in that. And then her other aspect to her power, she has like 3 aspects to her power. She has the projection, she has the what's it called? The applying condemn status effect to survivors, and she has the demanifestation and manifestation power. So the projection, basically she gets to teleport to TVs, and there's another little aspect to the TVs that I'll talk about a little bit later. Then there's the demanifestation and manifestation. Basically, you start out the trial demanifested, and it's kind of like a combination of Wraith's cloak and Freddy, when survivors are in the dream state. When you're demanifested, from a certain distance, the survivors cannot see you, but when they are in a certain distance, it's 32 meters, so when they're inside the 32 meters, you kind of periodically turn on and off. So it's kind of like a combination of Freddy, Wraith, and Spirit, because Spirit kind of periodically disappears and reappears, so it can be kind of like a small little tool in Chase, if kind of like how Ghostface, he can crouch and chase to remove his red stain or whatever. It's a small little aspect that you can use in Chase. Other than that, I'm not really sure what else being demanifested does to you. You can't like hit survivors while you're manifested. You have to manifest to be able to hit survivors. So I thought for some reason demanifesting gave you something else, but I think that's about it. So it's it's a little small aspect you can use in your power, make you are in loops, or just to be a little bit stealthy throughout the game. And I think it makes you a little bit faster, and also when you manifest, you get a little boost of speed, much like how Spirit would, or Wraith, of course. And then the last part is the condemned part, which is kind of her slowdown aspect. And one thing I will say before I critique that whole slowdown aspect is that I am glad the devs finally took a break from making anti-loop killer after anti-loop killer. We have had killers that are like strictly anti-loop for over a year now, and it has gotten really, really tiring. So I'm glad they finally added just a purely slowdown killer who has maybe a little bit of chasing potential with her demanifestation and manifestation, but overall it's not really going to do much. It's just kind of like a mind game kind of thing. But I'm just glad the devs finally took a break from anti-loop killers. Thank God. But there is a few problems with her slowdown power. So, once again, let me explain if you have not seen anything on this yet. Basically, she can teleport to TVs, and if a survivor is within a certain distance of the TVs, they will gain condemned progress. And survivors can choose to turn off TVs so that you cannot teleport to them, but they will also gain condemned progress through that as well. And I believe the survivors, they also passively gain, yes, they do. They get passive condemnation, 30 seconds per stack, so that would equate to, she has 7, so you have 7 stacks until you're fully condemned. So that would be 7 times 30, divided by 60. So overall, I don't think that's right, is it? 30 seconds per stack. 30 seconds per stack. Post-chase distance buffer. I thought it was every minute they get a... Huh, okay. So maybe it's every 3.5... Oh, wait, no, it's every 30 seconds they get 1 stack. Let me do the math real quick. Okay, guys, so this is actually a later recording. Into my editing, I found out everything. I looked back at my old video, because I actually made a video yesterday on this, but I decided to do a retake on it now that it's the day after, and I've seen a lot more videos. And it was 30 seconds the other day. I think I was just paying attention more to where it says, hopefully you guys can see this, because I know my webcam's down here. And I think I was paying more attention to the turn-off cooldown, which was 60 seconds for the television sets. I thought for some reason that was how long they gained the passive condemnation. But actually it's every 30 seconds per stack, which would equate to 3.5 minutes before you're fully condemned. So, now I can tell you my thoughts very clearly on this, and why this is a problem and what I suggest needs to be changed. So yes, 3.5 minutes is a long time in Dead by Daylight. This would mean that if a survivor completely ignored um, everything that they got, and let's assume that they didn't get any additional condemnation from you teleporting, whatever. I know this can be speeded up from you teleporting, but most of the time they'll probably only get one stack. So maybe that would be about. It would take about three, maybe two, at least 2.5 minutes for them to get fully condemned. That's still a long time. With chain hunts, it's about every minute, right? The chain hunts reactivate. With this, it's anywhere between 2.5 minutes to at most 3.5 minutes, but it's probably going to be in the 2.5 minute, 3 minute range. That's a while in Dead by Daylight. And the fact that when a survivor removes a tape, which is I believe their only way to remove condemnation, whatever you want to call it, condemn stacks. Assuming that that's their only way, and they get 4 stacks removed from doing that, that's a kick in the face, honestly. Like 4 stacks, that's about how much would that be? That would be 2 minutes, 2 minutes worth of all of your stacks. That's just a kick in the face for teleporting to a TV, and if they're in the vicinity of the TV, then they'll get a stack. Or if they turn off the TV, they'll get 1 stack. That's a kick in the face. So yeah, I think that this needs to be either reduced, or when you do add condemnation, like for them turning off or condemn stacks, for them turning off a TV, I think it should be increased maybe to 2 stacks, and for you teleporting to a generator and there are to a TV and they are in the vicinity, probably 2 stacks as well. Again, I haven't played Ringu, so I don't know exactly how you would do this. Just from what I can see and from my end, there definitely is going to need to be some tweaks there, because as of right now, from what I've heard from the community, survivors are just not really harassed, and they're not really concerned too much about condemned stacks and becoming fully condemned and all of that. So I think there does need to be some tweaks around that aspect of the power, and I believe after cutting from that part of the video, I covered everything about her power, the projection, the manifestation, and all that. So overall, what can I say? This chapter does have potential, and I would really like to see this chapter at the full potential, especially the killer's power, because I'm really happy that the killers, for once, cut away from the long streak of anti-loop killers, and they went with a straight-up slowdown killer. And I think this killer at full potential with good slowdown, that's even better than regular chain hunts, could be a very scary killer, and I would like to see that in tournaments, because I really like slowdown killers in tournaments where the survivors constantly have to be doing a certain action in between doing the generators, instead of you just trying to end chases as quickly as you can so that the survivors cannot keep up with you. I don't really like that in tournaments. I kind of like to see the survivors having to be able to do other things. So this chapter does have potential. I think with a few tweaks between making the perks better, which is obviously not the #1 priority, but if we're looking at this from the whole chapter, changing up the perks definitely is going to need to happen, which will probably not happen until the future. But as far as the killer gets changed, I do trust that the devs will change the killer in some way, even if it's not in the way we like it. But if it is just some kind of a buff, I would really I'm really looking forward to this, because I do see very high potential in this chapter. It's getting released on March 8th, and by then, yes, I will be doing a gameplay for the new killer, and I will be releasing it as well. So yes, look forward to that. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about the Ringu chapter. Still getting sorted out where I'm going to be putting my webcam. I decided to put it in the bottom left corner today. I thought that was better than the top left corner. Tell me where you think the webcam should be, because I'm not really sure where the perfect spot is yet. But other than that, make sure you stay tuned for that future content and read the community post, so that you can stay updated with any potential future changes that may be coming. Link in the description to the Discord server. Please join. Lots of cool stuff and exclusive stuff that you can see. Exclusive conversations, I should say, that you can get engaged in if you join the Discord server. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for all of the announcements. Other than that, like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next time.